All right, the NFL season is upon us. Join me today. I have comedian Kyle Kreis. You can find him at Kyle Kreis. He is the host of the YouTube show podcast called What Yin's Talking About, who, by the way, Kyle, big get this summer. You had Dick LeBeau, former Pittsburgh Steelers defensive coordinator, on your show, one-on-one interview. I don't know how you pulled that off, but you had some real Steelers royalty on your show this summer. That was
You
amazing.
know, just a lot of pestering. He had a book come out, and I've been on it for months, and I've been hitting up the publisher and just any contact. I've just been pestering. We had Dick LeBeau, we had former linebacker Levon Kirkland, and coming up this week, here's a little deep tease. We've got Pittsburgh super fanatic and In Sync member Chris Kirkpatrick.
Is that right? Wow, what a exclusive. You heard it here first. This is amazing. Wow, doing the work. Who's next on your list? Are you going to have, man, maybe you could have Lynn Swan on. Maybe you could have, what about Terry Bradshaw? Like, get the high horses in there.
I have met Bradshaw once. I don't, he does a lot of he does like musical theater now. So that might be if he's trying to promote that, trying to sell some tickets, that might be possible.
Oh, wow. Well, tell me your impressions of Dick LeBeau. What were you thinking about? What did you go into the interview thinking? What did you come out of that interview thinking about him?
Well, his book was specifically about the 2008 defense, so we kind of stuck to it with that. And I had seen him do some press for that book, so he kind of had, I don't want to say like he was sticking to the script, but a lot of people were asking the same thing, so he had the same answers.
Mhm.
But I tried to mix it up. I asked him because he was a Hall of Fame cornerback in his own right as a player with the Detroit Lions. So I asked him if he thought he could have covered guys like Antonio Brown or Randy Moss, and he said he definitely could have. So
It took the show all of 2 minutes to take a turn for the racial. But what about a white guy cornerback Hall of Fame? Because I don't think we've seen a white guy cornerback in 20 something years, and Dick LeBeau would be in the white guy corner Hall of Fame, don't you think?
they weren't passing a lot back then. It's
That's
just,
true.
it's a totally different but he had like 62 interceptions, over 12 years or something. I think at least with the Steelers, I think only Rod Woodson has beat him. So with more interceptions. So but he had Night Train Lane also in the secondary. He had some help back there. But hey, the stats are the stats.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good defense. Hey, stats are stats. Well, the season is upon us. Like we said, you're a Steelers fan here in Los Angeles. We're both comedians. However, we like to dive deep into the NFL as the season starts off. And I want to get your perspective on a few things leading into this season, because right now, this is the portion of the season for me I call the hopes and dreams part of the
Yeah.
season, because we all have an argument for making it into the playoffs, making it into the Super Bowl right now. Like, we're all on equal footing right now. You can say like, okay, maybe we won't be Super Bowl, but we could make the a wild card. It's possible. Like, we all think that worst case scenario is we make the wild card. So cast yourself back, Kyle, to, I think it was summertime around there, where the Steelers not only acquire Russell Wilson, but they also acquire Justin Fields coming from the Bears, Russell Wilson coming from the Broncos. What was your initial feeling of these two quarterbacks versus what's your feeling now going into the season about these two quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, the news was shocking. You got to remember at the time they signed Russ, they still had Kenny Pickett on the roster, and it was just the
Hmm.
assumption that he was going to be the quarterback. So when the news came down that Russ signed, it was just like shock and awe. I think it was the most
Hmm.
shocking. It had to be the most shocking moment for Steelers since they traded for Minka Fitzpatrick with the Dolphins, which was just unheard of.
Yeah.
So then when Russ came into town, it was like, okay, yeah, this will be something, but maybe he's still there just to mentor Kenny, maybe. But then Kenny asked for a trade, and then they still brought in Justin Fields. It was just
Right.
like, Steelers never are that dramatic in free agency. So
Hmm.
to have both of them, it's just, awesome. Now the narrative, of course, has been there's a QB battle, who's going to win, but Mike Tomlin has said the whole time that Russ is in the pole position and now he named him the starter. So there really wasn't a competition like some in the media thought, but it's still exciting to have this kind of caliber of talent back there.
Do you honestly feel positive about Russell Wilson? Like, are you feeling like this could be the guy for the Steelers? Because I mean, I feel like we were of two minds last year on Russ. Like, we were convinced that he was totally washed the first half of the season, and then they went on that little run, and then we kind of went back to neutral on him. So, what are your feelings on Russell Wilson in general? Is this one of those things where, like, let's give him a couple years and then decide? Or is there some concern? I don't know. You rolled your eyes at that question. What do you think?
I just, it's like he's 35, right? So it's like now or never. If he can't prove it this year, then that might be it for him, especially since Justin Fields is 25. And with these quarterback salaries, you can keep one of them and
Hmm.
that's it. But, I'll pull up Russ's stats from last year with the Denver, which was a pretty crappy team last year, but Russ was first in the league in game-winning drives. He was top 10 in TD passes. Um, and he was fourth in the red zone, fourth in passing touchdowns in the red zone. So, even if he puts up those same numbers from Denver, which were kind of lackluster, then I
Yeah.
think that's an improvement over Kenny Pickett last year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the stats, I mean, you still can't ignore stats. He did put up these numbers, and I think
Just
that's
not
some,
wins.
right. There is that aspect of it. We got wins versus stats. He's like, he's good on paper. So
I,
I think
I'm
there's some
I'm excited. This is the
overall
this
you're
is
excited. Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
You got to be. It's like we went from Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett to
Hmm.
now Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So it's uh, like you said in the hopes and dreams season part of the
Hmm.
season, you can't be
Yeah.
anything less than promising.
Yeah. Throw in a few Mason Rudolph starts in there. And now we're looking like, oh, Russell Wilson, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. No problemo. That is
I mean,
a
yeah, at
big
least
change.
at least the playoffs, and
Hmm.
anything can happen in the playoffs. Who knows what can happen.
Well, I'm looking at the schedule of the Steelers right now. You're at Atlanta, at Denver, the Chargers, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders. So in that like first chunk of the season, Cowboys, Chargers is a question mark right now. We don't know if they're good or not. That's a pretty favorable schedule, I would say, to start off. So the hopes and dreams got to be very high right now.
Looking at that schedule though, we Steelers have to come out of the gate in
Hmm.
September because the back half is like all of the AFC North games are in like the
Hmm.
last 6 to 7 weeks. They got the Chiefs in there like on a
Yeah.
Christmas Day or something. So they got to come out strong in September, and they're dealing with injuries already on the offensive line. So um, that's the question mark. They got to come out at least 3-1 in September, I think.
And then you mentioned you really want to take this year to assess Russell Wilson and see what his future's like at Steelers. How long is your leash on Mike Tomlin? Because it seems like no one has a higher Q rating in the NFL than Mike Tomlin. And maybe we don't judge him as objectively as we should. I mean, he's had some rough Steeler years in the last couple of years. Where are you on Mike Tomlin?
Well, the haters will say, right, the last 7 years, no playoff wins.
Hmm.
Although, if you go back and watch those games, Mike Tomlin didn't throw 4 interceptions against Jacksonville or
Hmm.
Cleveland, so, um, but with this roster he put together, it's like this has got to be the year for a playoff win. Now, I'm not ready to put him on the hot seat unless they missed the playoff. But if it's because of
Hmm.
injuries, we'll see how it plays out. When
Yeah.
Roethlisberger was out for the season in 2019, they were starting an undrafted rookie, Duck Hodges. So, I'm
Sounds
not
like
going
a
to put
radio personality.
yeah,
Duck Hodges in the morning.
right. So I'm not going to put that on Tomlin.
Okay.
Um, So, coaches coach and players play, and the reasons we've lost in the playoffs have been, a lot of times turnovers. It hasn't been, it's not anything that you can really point the fingers at a coach. People will say, "Oh, well, Andy Reid got fired, Bill
Yeah.
Belichick got fired," but this is Pittsburgh. We don't fire head coaches like that. So
Yeah, good point. The days of this is our coach, we stick with them are very, very, seems very, very far in the past. Whereas these days, well, the 49ers lose the Super Bowl, they fire the defensive coordinator like the next day. So it is almost a rarity, and it's almost like a throwback. We're like, this is our guy. We're going to have good years. We're going to have some lean years, but this is our guy. We stick with him all the way. Because when's the last coach that retired old? I can't think of one. I can't. I mean, Bill Belichick this year, of course.
yeah, Buddy
But
Ryan back at the
but
Oilers,
right.
maybe.
I just remember back in the day when my dad was like, "We got to watch Don Shula's last game," and we're like, "What? What? Well, oh, okay." He's like, "He's an icon." Like, I don't feel like we've had one of those in a really, really long time, and maybe it's just coaches don't stick with their team for their entire careers like they used to, and it seems like Tomlin might be our last guy like that.
Well, and remember with Tomlin, the reason that people like Russ and Justin Fields are in Pittsburgh is because they wanted to play for Tomlin. It wasn't like Russ Wilson could have went to Vegas or
Hmm.
a number of places, but these guys want to play for Tomlin because he knows how to get you fired up, and
Hmm.
just for that reason alone,
Yeah.
is enough to want to keep him around.
And if he survived Sean Payton for one season, how worse could it be? He's got to think. I went
I
through
think Sean
boot camp.
Payton is. I think the emperor's clothes are naked or whatever the saying is.
He's an interesting one. We're like, all right, let's see what you got this full season, Sean Payton. Are you
Yeah.
going to be more hype than actual wins? Like speaking of the whole NFL, like the biggest change that I think we're going to be all upset about and blogging and making YouTube shorts about is this new kickoff rule. So I want to just ask you, can you even explain this kickoff rule to me? Because I gave up around April trying to figure it out. I've seen videos of it, and I'm just like, I'll just wait till the season starts and I'll try and figure out then. Do you understand this new kickoff and do you like it?
The aspects that I get are I know that you have to kick it at least to the 20 or it's a penalty. You can't like squib
Mm,
it. And if you kick it into the end zone, then it's a touchback and you bring it back to the 30 instead of what it was, the 25. Um, now how you scheme to defend it because the players can't move until the ball is
yeah.
caught. It's like some kind of freeze tag. So I
Oh, they
don't
got to tag up like in baseball.
So I don't
Huh.
see exactly how it, during the Steelers preseason, everything came to about the 30 anyway. It was like the
Hmm.
28, the 29, the 31. So I don't, I'm just like, let's kick it off. Let's just get the touchback. Don't risk a big return, especially in a tight game. Steelers have the best
Yeah.
defense, maybe in the AFC, maybe in the NFL. So put them on the field, let them stop the other offense.
Hmm.
Um, I don't. But then again, they signed Cordell Patterson, one of the best return mans, just to give them an advantage on that. But I haven't seen it. I just haven't seen it happen yet. So
Yeah, I'm with you. I that explanation of it is probably the best I've heard so far too, of what the new kickoff is. And I think we're gonna have a lot of opinions this first week. Like, and I'm wondering if it's gonna last past this season. Because remember there was that one rule about pass interference or something a few years ago, and they called like 80 penalties the first week, and the next week it was 70. The next week it was 50, and by like week 6 it was like, oh, they're calling 32 penalties. Like there is a reaction to everybody's reaction of this kickoff. I wonder how it does. I wonder if we're gonna blame stuff on it for the first week or two.
I mean, as soon as some kicker is left back there trying to tackle and like breaks his ankle or something, trying to tackle a player, and then all of a sudden the team doesn't have a kicker for the season, then
Hmm.
I could see, they want to make the kickoff exciting. If I don't know, maybe take some players off the field, maybe make it like seven on
Oh,
seven or something, make more room to run.
oh,
But
interesting. 7-on-7 for a kickoff.
I don't know, just to
I like
that makes it
that.
makes it a little bit harder to tackle, makes it a little bit more room to run.
Hmm.
But what they're doing right now is, I guess, based on the XFL, but I remember the old school XFL where I think they put the ball on the 50
Hmm.
and both teams had to run for it.
Oh,
So
right. I love that. That was like their coin toss. They were like, we
yeah,
don't leave
yeah.
anything to chance. And like fireworks went off. And I was like, what is this? And like, I'm really surprised the XFL didn't stick around because the NFL took so much from the XFL. It was like, this is a good idea. Let's use this. Let's use this rule. Let's use this camera angle. And the XFL somehow, like, I don't think it's out of the question to say, like, we're going to have an alternative league that will replace essentially maybe not Division One college, but Division Two, where the athletes can get paid. It can be a farm system. I don't think that's out of the question. But we love football, but it doesn't seem like there's anything near a competing league, and there never
Remember,
will be.
yeah, remember back in the 80s, the USFL, they had
Hmm.
guys like Warren Moon and Steve
Right? They
Young.
poached a lot of good guys.
Yeah, and they were able to pay them. I guess the they don't have the money to compete with the NFL, but um yeah, you're right though. It behooves everyone to have to have a competitive another football league out there.
Yeah. Sticking with the NFL, I'm always curious with the regression year. You know, the teams that do good that one year and then the next year they totally tank. And I have two on my list that I think are regression category. And let me see what you think if you see a slump from either of these teams. I got Detroit and the 49ers as my
Okay.
two teams that like have the good year and then take the step back. Do you agree or disagree, or do you have other teams in my regression
49er, well,
category?
49ers is interesting because it's hard to get back to the Super Bowl. That's so, just on that level alone is going to be hard to repeat. But you also got Brock Purdy. It's like, was he a fluke? Is he the real
Yeah.
deal?
Right.
So
He was our 2024 Tim Tebow. Like
yeah.
there was so many arguments going around, mainly in my family group chat, if Purdy was good or he sucked. And we never came to an answer, to be honest.
And they're sticking with him now, so he's got to
Hmm.
be. He's got to be. We'll see. We'll see. They got in so many weapons; it's hard not to be right. With
Yeah.
between Debo and McCaffrey and Brandon
Right.
Ayuk and Kittles, it's like
Yeah, that's true. You just rattled off four amazing players who might be the best at their position on the same team. Like it is true. They have a lot of strong weapons. So it's sounding like 49ers would be not regressing this year. What about the Lions? That was like the Cinderella story last year.
yeah, it's that division isn't the strongest, right? I mean,
Hmm.
Green Bay is always competitive.
Right. Green Bay, Minnesota looks like they might be a Division three college team.
Right? They don't even, do we even know who's quarterbacking there? I don't know.
I don't think we know who's coaching.
So I could see, that's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I know I watched the Hard Knocks with them. Was that last
Hmm.
year or 2 years now? I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
think we might have recorded a couple of episodes together
Yes.
talking hard knocks, and that got us jazzed for the Lions.
Yeah, their coach is real cool, and he's a big personality there.
Hmm.
So, and they got that Hutchison is the all
True.
God defensive player. So they should be. But I couldn't tell you their offensive stars though.
Goff,
Goff. Okay.
the resurgent Goff. Yeah, and they came within one crazy play of beating the 49ers. So they were definitely one of the best teams last year. Now we get to see the bounce back. Now they're going to be on every team's radar.
Yeah,
So,
and they got to play tougher team. They had a tougher. They'll have a tougher schedule this year since they got to play the
mhm,
other division winners and whatnot. So
good point. Okay. Our next question. This is an LA centric question, Kyle. We have football here, but I still say sort of.
sort of
So
definitely.
now we actually have two potentially good LA teams this year. The Chargers, new coach, Justin Herbert. It seems like no one has fully unleashed Justin Herbert yet. And the Rams seem pretty loaded up this year as well. So who do you think will be the better team? And most importantly, who do you think LA will adopt as their team?
I mean, yeah, none of the above. LA is going to adopt none of the above, right?
The
I don't,
Raiders? LA's still a Raiders team.
I see more Raiders jersey. My office is at Universal, and they still have a Raiders store there. So there's
At some point, Raiders just equaled Hispanic at some point.
yeah.
And LA was just like, that's our team. I don't know, move to Alaska. We don't care. We will
I
still be
mean,
fans.
the Charger. I know the Chargers fans I know are excited about Harbaugh,
Hmm.
but um, it seems like the Chargers always find a way to, just shoot themselves in the foot. Maybe Harbaugh will be the difference that doesn't happen, but it seems like they always lost close games or always gave up games in the fourth. If Herbert stays healthy, I guess that's the key. Do they have any? Who are their receivers though? I mean,
Yeah, they
they
lost two really big guys. They lost Mike Williams and Eckler, I think, as well. They lost. I don't know who they replaced them with, but yeah, who are their guys is a good question. And then Herbert was injured quite a bit last year as well. So adding in Harbaugh, I think, is huge. Now we got to see what that actually results to.
And the AFC is loaded, so they've
Mhm.
got their division is tough as it is already with the Chiefs. Um, yeah, not Denver, maybe not Vegas. So maybe they are
Mhm.
the wild card in that division. But AFC just seems like there's so many good quarterbacks in the AFC. So um, I think they're all going to be defeating each other and kind of
Yeah.
canceling each other out.
I just have a feeling there's just no way Harbaugh cannot succeed. He's succeeded at every level, and I just don't see him failing. Like maybe it's not a Super Bowl, but like I see them in the playoff conversation. It's going to be an improvement from last year. Is basically what I'm saying. I have a hard time betting against Jim Harbaugh, and they have the talent at quarterback. How that results, I don't know. And how LA will react to it, I don't know. I feel LA defaults to more Rams than Chargers, if I were to really put a finger on it.
Yeah, although man, the Super Bowl season, I don't remember anyone being fired up for the Rams
I don't
that year.
either.
You know,
That's the thing. I don't either.
I think the
God.
Super Bowl was on, and I think I was at a comedy show, and people were like, "Oh, is the Super Bowl today? What?" So
We'll turn it on between acts. How about that?
yeah, yeah.
The MC will be giving scoring updates. The LA question is going to be interesting. Who claims LA for the? It's
Because
going to have
Rams have a
to.
tough division too.
They
I mean,
do.
they got to play Niners, and they got to play Seattle's no pushover. So
Yep. Yeah, it's almost like we need a whole PR campaign to boost this up. Like there needs to be like a flag, and whatever LA team is better, they get to stake their flag on the Hollywood sign or on Griffiths Observatory or something, and then it's like the battle for LA. Like it needs a boost. This is what we do here is make up storylines, and it seems like we should do something for that LA. We got two football teams. And people don't seem to really care about either. The poor Chargers essentially play 17 away games all year
yeah.
long. It's got to be difficult. They share their stadium with every concert, and fans from all other cities come to see the other team.
Yeah, I've been to that stadium too. I saw the Steelers play the Chargers there, and it's like a giant basketball arena. It's just like there's
Hmm.
noise, there's music everywhere. It's like ADD stadium. They're trying to like take your attention off what's going on in the field.
Don't look over here.
Yeah,
We got
we got to
shit
keep
going
you
on over here.
fired up because the other team's fans are here. Okay, let's go,
Right.
let's go.
They need just like to hire celebs every week to take your attention off and like now let's take your attention to the main concourse. We got Mario Lopez. Make some noise, Mario Lopez. And then there's just a constant Mario Lopez cam all game long and he's eating popcorn. He's
That's
sitting with
the
his kids. What about
Yeah,
that?
when that's Hollywood's biggest Chargers fan, it's like, okay, we need to do some recruiting here.
Right. Start small. We'll work our way up to George Clooney, but we'll start at Mario Lopez for right now. All right, week one, your Steelers go to Atlanta. How do you feel about this game? Will the Steelers be 1-0 after this game?
I'm going to say yes, obviously. There's some personal, our offensive coordinator is Arthur Smith. He was the Falcons head coach, so you got to imagine that
Mm,
there's some, personal stakes there for him. So
definitely.
he's going to want to come out of the gun firing. Um, like I said, September is important because just how tough the back end of the season is. Um, hopefully maybe Atlanta. I mean, what do they got? Kirk Cousins. So,
Cousins, jeez. Talk
you
about
know,
a dysfunctional team. Is Atlanta's got to be up there with our Minnesota pick. Is Kirk Cousins?
yeah, maybe they're just not on the same page yet. That would be
Hmm.
my best case scenario is that they haven't got it all figured out. So Steelers can
Yeah.
come in there and just attack on defense. I think there are underdogs. I think are the spreads out already? I think the Steelers are underdogs. So
Are they really?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's Vegas for you, but
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, trying to entice a little action there. Let's see. I'm looking at it right now. No, I don't see a spread up yet. Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All
I
right.
do. I see it right here. Yeah, you're right. No, I got Atlanta minus. No, no, you're right. Atlanta minus 2.5.
So basically home field advantage. So that's
Mm-hmm.
not too bad. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, they got
I mean,
Atlanta first week, Denver the second week. Say Russell Wilson has two pretty good games. That's going to be leading a lot of sports shows on
oh yeah.
Mondays. Like this is a true hopes and dreams scenario
Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah. Russell B. Yeah.
Russell's back.
Yeah. He's going to be the celeb. And, or, or the other thing is if they, even if they win, but it's tight, it's going to be like bench rush now, bench rush, everyone's
Oh
going to
my
be,
God, that's the other way. Like when do we see Fields?
yeah, everyone's rooting for Justin Fields to get in there, even though, I think he had like three fumbles in the preseason, can't get the snap off from the center. So,
Are you like me where like I just totally discard preseason now? Like I purposely avoided all preseason this year. I don't think it means anything. The season's long enough. Or do you take some weight on preseason?
I mean, last season, Steelers starters in 5 drives had 5 touchdowns. It was like the perfect preseason, and then they went on to
Right.
be, to squeak into the playoffs. Now this year, they didn't win any preseason games, so I can't.
Right.
I try to, gauge it. Oh, well, we're gonna just check out how some of these young players are, and then it's just like, you know what? I turned
Yeah.
it off at
Yeah,
halftime.
we have
So
so much football. Like I don't need more football right now. I got Hard Knocks in season. I gotta contemplate buying NFL Sunday ticket for about 3.5 months before it actually comes time. I got a season. I listened to one Raiders podcast and I got totally discouraged for the whole season. Like there's too much stress in my life. I don't need preseason. Cancel preseason.
the
I don't need.
preseason and the off season is longer than the season. So it's like there's more to talk
Right.
about when the games aren't playing than when the
Yeah.
games are actually on. So
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care preseason. Like take it zero. We learned nothing from preseason. That's why week one is going to be so important. Well, Kyle Kreis, listen to his show. It's called What Yin's Talking About on YouTube. He had Dick LeBeau on it. I'll put a call in and maybe you can get Chuck Noll in the future. Let's even get
the
him on
ghost
there.
of Chuck Noll, yeah.
From the grave. Yeah.
I
He's
mean,
at Kyle Kreis.
my dream would be Mike Tomlin, of course, or
Oh, yeah, that's your dream, Tomlin?
that would be the dream guest, but he's not doing, you know, he's not doing things like that. So
Oh, so much for the hopes and dreams, Kyle. We hope Russell Wilson goes 2-0 and Mike Tomlin never talks to me.
hey, I'll take that. I'll take
Oh,
that. If
right.
yeah.
Well, you bring up a good point. At every point during the season, the fan of the team makes a deal with the devil. Be like, all right, I'll take 7-3 by October, and one of my kids doesn't go to college. I'll take that deal. We all make that deal halfway through the season. I know I do. Yes.
Got to. That's the only way to bargain, right? It's like, okay, what can I do from over on this side of the screen? What can I do?
Well, Kyle, I will be texting you frantically during the first kickoffs of week one, asking you, Kyle, kickoff, WTF. That's all I'm going to text you.
Yeah, you can find me at Ireland's 32 at 10 a.m. every
Oh, you go
Sunday.
to that bar, huh? Okay, I know that bar.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, go there. Pittsburgh is going to play Atlanta. Kyle will be there. Thanks, Kyle. Enjoy week one.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, joining me now, Michelle Bodkin is here. You can find her at Bodkin is a Boss on Instagram. She covers all things Utah sports. And we go way back when we used to do campus radio, doing sports and comedy and everything beyond. So it's been a long, long time. Michelle, what happened to us?
You thought that moving to LA would be a great idea. That's what happened to us.
Put that on my list of things Pat thought was a great idea. And I'm on to chapter 27 of that novel at this point.
Love it.
Yes. Well, you were doing sports at the time. You're still doing sports. You put in all this work. I don't think there's anything in the Utah area you do not cover. I think, I don't know if there's a badminton tournament or something that you didn't cover in the last 6 years, but like you are all over it when it comes to sports in the Mountain West. So, and you even took in the opener of the Utah Utes football game yesterday as well. You have to be on a little bit of a high from that because I think they won big, right?
Yeah, it was a 49-0 match. And it's been 5 years since they've posted a shutout. So kind of
Oh,
fun.
wow.
So I mean, shutouts. Look, here's the thing. A lot of these teams play cushy openers, but even with that being said, by the third quarter, fourth quarter, you're seeing a lot of your fourth and fifth string guys,
Oh, yeah.
and it opens things up for even those smaller teams that you're definitely better than to be able to score some points here and there. And Southern Utah came really, really close. They tried I think it was a 47-yard field goal, and they missed it towards the end of the game. But yeah, Utah managed to get the shutout. Those don't come along very often, so it was kind of a fun way to open the year.
I love a good desperation, it doesn't matter anymore field goal at the end of the game. Like just to have to say okay, we didn't get shut out. I love it, but they missed it anyway, so they didn't.
They missed it. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, you cover so much Utah sports that you were saying you're a little more on the casual side of NFL, and sometimes I consider myself that as well. Definitely with some other sports. But I think as a red-blooded American, I don't think you ever have NFL totally out of your system.
No.
Because it's too much in the conversation of Americana, commercially. You kind of know the beats of what's going on. Are you like that? Do you have kind of thoughts on it, even if you're not following a particular team or storyline all year long?
Yeah, so I mean, my NFL fandom's drastically changed since I
Oh, is
got
that
into
right?
Yeah, since I've started seriously covering college football, well, college athletics for the University of Utah, it just doesn't leave a whole lot of time to pay attention, serious attention to a lot of other things. But the NFL and college football are kind of intertwined because you start getting who's going to get drafted this next
Right.
year, who that has been drafted is on these teams, and so I grew up a very, very serious Packers and 49ers fan. I know that sounds really weird to both of them because I know that they're rivals. I get that. But that was just the house that I grew up in. Those were the teams that we cheered for. And so that's cooled down a little bit. And I'm honestly a lot more interested in following teams where guys I used to cover at the University of Utah are now playing. So that's kind of where my NFL fandom has started to move towards. Do I know a former coach? Do I know a former player that's now in the NFL? If I do, I probably want to watch that game or at least have some idea of what happened.
Well, I'm going to throw some NFL questions at you, Michelle. I'm going to see what you think. See where your head's at right now in the NFL. Because right now, since there's no games, the season's about to start, everybody thinks their team has a shot this year. So we have all these hopes and dreams for our teams this year. And this is the perfect time to be a fan because everybody's undefeated. So what do you like as a storyline going into this NFL season? What are you thinking that you are going to put your attention towards? Is it a team? Is it a player? Is it an off the field storyline? Where's your attention at right now?
I think there's two things that I'm kind of curious about watching about. And again, unfortunately, I'm a little bit more West Coast biased, and I think it's just because I hear about those things a little bit more than on the East Coast. And you know what? The East Coast ignores us out here anyway. So all's fair in love and war, and it's just what it is. You ignore me, I ignore you. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a very healthy relationship. We just ignore each other. Yeah. Good luck getting the LA Rams to come visit you, East Coast. It's not happening.
But I think the two things that kind of really catch my eye right now, obviously, again, talked about, I really follow where guys that I used to cover have gone to. And right now, Denver is very former Utah player heavy. I know that they made a couple of cuts. Some guys are still not there anymore, but they still have quite a few players. And of course, BYU Zach Wilson is also on the roster as well. So I'm kind of curious about them just because there's so many local connections and names that I know, names that I'm familiar with. And then the other one that I think is kind of interesting is you have the change of power in Seattle, right? Pete Carroll's no longer there. He had a really nice run there for a long, long time. They're in new hands now. What does that look like? How does that go for them? I'm really curious to see how that plays out this year.
Yeah, those are two storylines I haven't really heard a lot of press on for either teams. I haven't heard anybody talk about Denver. I haven't heard anybody talk about Seattle. Part of it is like we never stop with the NFL information all year long. So there's all these things going on, but like that's a major, like you said, the changing of power. It's almost like like election year. No more Pete Carroll, who's the new head coach in there. And now we got to see how they're going to perform. But Denver, I haven't heard anybody talk about Denver at all. Maybe it's because we secretly think Denver is in trouble with this second year of Sean Payton stuff. I think America doesn't want Denver to fail, is my conspiracy theory. So we like want to like say like, no, they're okay. But you make a good point. We got some players in there, and we got Sean Payton. What's going to happen with you, Denver?
I think the funny thing is, I mean, I grew up very much a Denver hater. So for me to be like, oh, well, I'm kind of curious to see what you do this year. They forced my hand. Like, like I feel like I have to want to pay attention just because of, again, the local connections. So that's not like a normal one that I'd be like, oh, like I want to watch some Denver Bronco games. No, I like never want to watch Denver Bronco games.
No,
I'm
get that.
Gonna this year.
I get that. You gotta hate watch a certain team. You gotta have your desperate housewives of Atlanta hate watch, where you're like, I hate that team, and then you end up watching 4 hours of coverage of that team. Good just hate ridiculous. Watch. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Denver and Seattle. Yeah, what is gonna happen? Denver's in a very tough division too. Like this could go south pretty early for Denver. And Seattle, like, I don't know what the hell's going on there. No more Pete Carroll. That was his team.
I know.
He was like this jolly old man on the sideline all these years that I always like kind of seeing him on the side chew gum and smile all the time. And now more Pete Carroll. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if I like this.
Well, this is crazy too, because last year the Seahawks celebrated 10 years from their Super Bowl victory. It's been 10 years since they won that. It still feels like yesterday, but it's been 10 years since they won that. They brought back a bunch of the team and stuff and had the celebration with Pete Carroll and all that. And then he announced his retirement. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's very interesting that 10 years after that point, no more Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Wow. This is a big changing of the guard. I feel like, some week one stuff should be paid attention to for it, because that's a big deal. It seems like Seattle is a team that everybody kind of likes to see succeed, at least in my world. Everybody's kind of like, yeah, good for them. The good for them team. I wrote down my top 3 teams that I think are going into this year. I also wrote down my top worst teams. So let me see if you agree or disagree with my top 3 best teams. I have KC, Buffalo, and I put Green Bay in there for my top 3 as a little. I think they finished the season really well last year. A lot of hopes and dreams for them. What do you think about my top 3? Would you agree or disagree or change around the names there?
I overall agree with that. I think another one to potentially watch for in my book would be the Lions. I think they put together something really nice last year. They came up a little bit short. You know, teams like that sometimes can be a little chippy, a little hungry. I'm not entirely sure how their draft went, how that got graded. But I would imagine that they saw a little glimmer of what they've always wanted to be, and it's probably all gas, no brakes. So I expect them to be in that conversation again as well. And what a fun story for them. You know, I'm kind of curious to see if the Lions kind of continue moving up the ranks a little bit, maybe get a little further than they did the year before. They intrigue me a little.
You know, you're talking me into the Lions now. Like, I love a team that is a year away. I love we're a year away team. So maybe yes, because I was like, the Lions, they were like a play away last year. So, okay, top 3. Okay, 3 worst teams in the NFL. Here's what I got. I got Denver. I got Jacksonville. and I put Arizona in there as my worst 3. I don't know if Arizona knows who's going to play quarterback for them in week 1. I think they're just going to kind of like have everybody warm up, and whoever looks good, maybe they'll just put them in. Denver,
that sounds
we
like
talked
BYU
about,
this year.
is that what BYU, what's going on at BYU this year?
That's what it sounds like down in Provo this year. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
All right, so maybe BYU and Arizona could get together.
Just buddy up.
Yeah, and just trade plays. Be like, do you think this will work? Can we hike the ball to a receiver? I don't know. Let's try it. Maybe that could be their thing. So I got Arizona, and then Jacksonville, I think, is just a total mess. So those are my worst 3. Would you add any names to that 3?
I mean, I feel like the New York Jets always have to be in this conversation, right?
Oh, really? Aaron Rodgers, take 2 New York Jets are in this conversation for you, huh?
I don't know. I'm not sold. And I'm probably one of the few like Packers fans that not a fan of Brett Favre, not a fan of Aaron Rodgers. Great football players, but kind of don't seem like great people outside, which kind of matters to me. So
well, that's fair, because I think a lot of people did some hating Aaron Rodgers, but there was the personal hate and there was the play hate. And in my expertise or my assessment, there is some legitimate playoff hate for Aaron Rodgers. He has a great regular season, and he really doesn't have good postseasons. And then if you don't like him off the field, you've got this perfect storm of critiquing Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you're like, I can't believe what he said. He has a beard. Oh, he went to Egypt. Oh, my God. And then you have this perfect storm of getting riled up for Aaron Rodgers. And it seems very difficult to separate that critique with a lot of people that I know. So I'm very curious to see Aaron Rodgers take 2 in a New York Jets uniform. I'm of the belief that this is a phenomenal talent. I never seen anybody throw the ball like he does.
Oh,
like he's so good,
talented
at flipping that ball.
He is talented. Like, I'm not going to say he's not. The hate is not about that, man.
Right.
It's the off the field antics. I don't know. Kind of bothers me. But,
yeah. And my critique is, I wonder if that makes him a good teammate, because I just think he might be a difficult person. Say you thought Aaron Rodgers was correct in everything he believes off the field. That's all good. I still think he's kind of difficult. Like, he might be a tough teammate, and it feels like he's like the senior and he's playing with all sophomores. And he's just like, nobody can hang out with me. I know what I'm doing. None of you guys know what you're doing. Just listen to me. And I'm wondering if that's going to have a negative effect, or he can lock in this team. We're going to have to wait and see on it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But I don't know. I just feel like even when the Jets seem like they have a good thing going, they always manage to screw it up.
Yeah.
So I just, until you prove me otherwise, I feel like you have to be on my list.
Okay,
and I
that's fair.
feel similarly about the New York Giants as well.
Oh, Giants is very, very fair. Yes.
They're another team that I feel like no matter what, they always screw things up. So, which also is maybe not fair, because they actually have been to the Super Bowl fairly recently, but I don't know. I just they are so up and down. There's like no middle ground with them.
Right, that's true. When it comes to New York teams, you either suck or you beat the undefeated Patriots. That's it. That's all you get. All right, I got a quick Mountain West question for you when it pertains to the NFL. The Mountain West doesn't have a pro team. Who does residents of the Utah area adopt as their home team? Have you noticed that there's a team that area adopts as like, this is our team that we root for and watch?
I mean, if I'm like looking across the landscape, I feel like what I see the most of in terms of jerseys, Denver, obviously, because they're our neighbor. I see a lot of San Francisco, and I know that there's actually, I know that there is a very large San Francisco they have their own bar here. They go every Sunday, watch the 49ers game. And I'm going to imagine that has a lot to do with Steve Young.
Oh, there's the
he's
connection.
one of our own, and so I think a lot of people remember those days
Yeah.
and kind of they've just adopted the 49ers as their own because it's a local guy.
Yeah.
That
He's
that had
like
a lot of
Utah's
success
Bob
there.
Hope.
There you go.
You just can't go
Um,
wrong.
that I see quite a few Seahawks fans here.
Hmm.
There's a pretty good Packers contingent. Strangely, I haven't seen as many Raiders fans, but I don't know if that starts to change as the Raiders continue to get more settled in Las Vegas.
Oh,
They're
that's a good point.
technically the closest team to us. It's a 6 hour drive. I think Denver's like 8 hours. So it's a little bit further, but I would say those are kind of the top teams that it feels like I see and I notice the most fandom around here, at least in Salt Lake.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know if the Raiders can ever be adopted by the Utah area. Just seems like too much dysfunction. It doesn't seem like Utah wants anything to do with the Raiders. Like, I don't know about that. That's close by, but this seems like a very, very unreliable uncle is the Las Vegas
I
Raiders.
mean,
It's my 2 cents.
yes, yes. I keep hoping the Raiders will pull it together, have some friends that work for the Raiders. Actually, I mean, I just told you that I grew up a 49ers and a Packers fan. I actually do not have any 49ers or Packers gear currently, but I do have a Raiders hat.
Oh, really? Wow. Wow, I knew we had a connection somewhere in there, Michelle. Yeah, as a lifelong Raiders fan, they're hard to come by.
I wear it on occasion, and I'll like have someone be like, "Oh my gosh, you're another Raiders fan," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, I don't hate the Raiders, but I also would not quantify myself as a Raiders fan. I just have friends that work for them, and they send me some gear."
Okay, I knew we were connected somehow, Michelle. As a lifelong Raiders fan, I can appreciate that. We were probably born in the same month, for all we know. That's pretty good.
Oh, maybe twins.
It has to happen. The Raiders, Raiders. Wow, talk about another mess of a team. But I already don't get me upset. Sorry. It's been a fun offseason for the Raiders. We drafted I don't know 7 tight ends. We love tight ends at the Raiders.
You know what? Utah has 6 playable tight ends at the moment. So it's, you know what? I think you can do something with the 7 tight end.
Yeah.
Let's see an 07 lineup.
I like this.
Yes.
All right, now you're talking me back into a good Raider season.
Let's be imaginative here. Let's use all the tight ends.
Yeah, okay. Hopes and dreams. They're very high right now for my Raiders. All right. Well, okay, so you talked about your favorite teams. You kind of split between Green Bay and the 49ers. Are you like me where you have a favorite, non-favorite team? Like the team that is like second place for you that you kind of root for and also watch? Or do you stick with just your guys?
I mean, again, growing up when I wasn't like covering sports, I would say my second team, the team that I decided that I liked, was the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, really? The Ravens? Yes, where'd that come from?
Ravens. You know what? I just loved their style of play when they had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Like that defense was so nasty, and I'm a defense girl. I love a good defense. But like what really cemented it for me was their first Super Bowl win. I think it was like 2001. They went to the Super Bowl with the New York Giants. And I mean, in the lead up to this game, obviously, like everybody's talking about, well, who do you think is going to win the game? And every boy in my class, I was in 5th grade at the time, every boy in my class was like, oh, the Giants have got this in the bag, blah, 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 blah. I was like, no, like I've watched both, man, and I think the Ravens are going to win. The Ravens are the better team. And the amount of, well, you're a girl, you don't play. Like, how would you know? Blah, blah, blah. Get out of here with this. And it's like, okay. So, of course, like you watch the Super Bowl game. Well, who won the game? It was the Baltimore Ravens. They won their first ever Super Bowl. And I came back into class that day and I was like, so, like, you want to talk about this again?
Yeah.
And
you got to have your time.
It was like just dead silent. Like none of them wanted to talk to me. In fact, I'm pretty sure most of them switched the conversation. If I recall correctly, I think Britney Spears was the halftime show that year. And it was like, Britney Spears is so hot. Like, like they did not want to talk to me about the
Really?
game because I was the one that was right. They were wrong. And yeah, so Baltimore just really kind of buried itself into my soul. I was like, y'all did me a solid here. Like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I've always had
Yeah.
a bit of a soft spot for the Baltimore Ravens. And I actually just recently talked with one of their starting safeties this year, former Utah athlete Marcus Williams. He was at the spring game, and I told him about that. And he's like, oh, well, we'll try and get you a Super Bowl win this year. I'm like,
Oh, all right.
please do. So,
Yeah,
so
get on
Marcus
that.
Williams is going to try and get me another Baltimore Super Bowl win this year. So
All
we'll see
right.
what happens.
Oh, that's great. You know, some of my most traumatic childhood memories are due to sports because
Oh, totally.
remember you would go the weekend would be like, oh, my favorite team's this. If your favorite team lost on Sunday, you had to go into school on Monday and take everybody's shit and be like, you like the Raiders, they lost, therefore you're a loser. And you'd be like,
Yeah, you're the
no. And then in my head I was like, I think they're right. how could I root for this team? And then if you won, you couldn't wait till school on Monday to just stick it in your friend's face. Be like, see, my team won. I'm the best. Your team lost. You're a loser. And then it just would repeat itself week after week
Oh my gosh,
for
seriously.
17 years. So
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
a couple more questions for you. Off the field question for you. Now, what do you think happens first? Do you think we will have a Taylor Swift engagement? Will we have a Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce breakup? Or will we have a pregnancy?
Oh, I was hoping you would ask if there was going to be like a halftime show. Pregnancy. Okay, I don't think pregnancy. Do I think they get engaged or do I think they break up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what? I want happiness for people, so I'm going with engagement just because I'm a positive person. Like
Oh,
they seem really happy and cute together and super supportive of each other, which I think
yep.
is super cool. Both of them are in hard industries, I think, to have that level of support. And obviously, I mean, it's still pretty early in the relationship,
Yeah, that's true.
but
We're back exactly 1 year, right? And it kind of happened at the start of the
probably
season.
getting close to the year mark. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know what? I'm not one to piss on anyone's happiness, so we're going with the engagement.
Engagement. Yeah, 1 year, a lot of plane flights. They seem very, very committed to supporting one another. So I think we're still in like the nice, everybody's terrific. We love
Yes.
everybody's family. These skyboxes are awesome stage.
But who knows? I mean, maybe there'll be a breakup song. I don't know.
Oh wow, you flipped pretty quick there, Michelle.
I mean, you got to keep all options on the table, but I am rooting for the happy ending. That's what
Oh,
I'm
good.
rooting.
Okay,
Yeah.
rooting for a happy ending there. Excellent. All right. You mentioned one of your favorite teams is San Francisco. I want to
Mhm.
talk week one. Let me get a week one prediction because this is, I think, a great week one matchup. Week one, Monday night, the New York Jets play at San Francisco. What are your predictions for this game? San Francisco get the win. Do we have to kiss Aaron Rodgers' feet after this game, or does he piss us all off again?
I don't. You know what?
Very conflicted by this thought.
Here's the thing. I know that San Francisco's had some turnover. That they've had some budget issues that they've had to deal with and work with. I get that. I still think they're probably a better team. So I am going to party like a rock star.
Mm.
I'm on
Are you on Team Brock?
I I'm on Team Brock. Like I just don't trust New York. I just don't trust New York.
You got it.
Don't. So
Mhm.
so you know what? I'm all in on Brock Purdy, George Kittle. Like I'm all in on those guys. I think they get it done.
And what week do you think Aaron Rodgers makes us all upset this year? Or did it already happen?
Ah, I don't think it's happened all. I mean, you know what? Last year, what
It's gonna be
was it?
something.
It was for like the first four, within the first four play, only played 4 plays and was out for the year.
Yep, and we had him all through NFL Hard Knocks. We got some good alien talk. We got like we had lots of Aaron Rodgers talk, and then he was snatched out of our lives.
The heartbreak. I mean, I don't. He's kind of getting into that weird, and it's very interesting too that his career path has kind of followed a very similar pattern to Brett Favre's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
Where we're at Green Bay forever, hero, legend, whatever. And then you go to the New York Giants, or not New York Giants, New York Jets, and it's all downhill from there. And I mean, both of them were older at that point. I don't know. I kind of think Aaron Rodgers is maybe trying to hang on to something that's
so
there anymore. I bet it's not too long before he's not there.
Yeah. Like he likes attention. Like he wants to be in the conversation. He doesn't really care what side. I think he likes being a heel. So I think
he kind of does too, actually.
Yeah, like he likes it. Like, you know, like it's like
I think he likes being the villain.
He likes it. So
he likes it. He thrives off of it.
Yeah, so I think we get into like that week 6-ish world where like, okay, no one's talking about me anymore. I need to say something crazy.
I was going to say, he's either going to say something crazy or he's going to have another season-ending injury. It's going to be one of the two, and people are going to be very upset.
Yeah, I say he goes AWOL. He just leaves the country for 2 weeks, and we're like, where's Aaron Rodgers? And then he comes back, and he's like, hey, I'm ready to play.
Well, I mean, the Jets do drive people to that. So,
yeah, that's true.
You know, he might need to take some time for himself. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. We'll keep tabs on that. All right. Well, we had a lot of hopes and we had a lot of dreams in this discussion, Michelle. Everybody go follow her on Instagram. She's at Bodkin is a Boss on Instagram. She's covering Utah sports all over the place. Michelle, thanks for joining me. Have fun in the opening of the season.
Oh, I will. Thank you, Patrick.
All right. Joining me for the trifecta of the hopes and dreams preview edition of the NFL season, Sean Leary is here. You can find him at Sean Leary Bits on Instagram. He's the host of the podcast No Credentials, which I'm a loyal listener of.
Loyalist.
Mm-hmm. He's a comedian here in Los Angeles that I've gotten to share the stage with as well. And most importantly, he's a Minnesota Vikings fan.
Least importantly.
Oh my God. Sean, welcome. You know,
what's up, man?
We were texting a lot earlier this week because we have two teams we're fans of that we're a little concerned of for the season. And it essentially turned into a text exchange of each of us trying to talk down the other person about their team. Like at some point I was trying to tell you the good things about your team, and then you were trying to tell me the good things about my team, right, in this sort of sense of talking each other off the ledge. So as a Vikings fan, let's start here. The season hasn't even started. Is this the most depressed you've ever been about your team before it started?
Yeah, man. Like I'm off I'm so depressed. I'm off the Vikings, dude. I'm on to the Bears. Really? I'm divorced of the Vikings. I couldn't do it, man. Like first, I think I read a stat that it was like the first rookie quarterback drafted in the first round ever that's going to miss the entire season, or like in 50 years of first round draft picks. So it's like, it's only that 1 in a million BS that happens to the Vikings. They've never won a Super Bowl. They've never really even had a franchise quarterback. I'm done, man. I'm done. My wife's a Bears fan. Her family's Bears fan. I'm gone.
Oh my God. Well,
it's that easy. It's that easy for me because it's been 35 years of heartbreak, man. Like you can hear it in the announcer's voice for the Vikings. Yeah. Like he's the saddest man on radio when the Vikings lose. And that's just the microcosm of the region and the area and the team. I'm gone.
Jeez, you're gone right off to the Bears.
I'm going to the Bears.
Not even week
in
1
division.
Yet. Well, is there anything that could bring you back? during
No,
this season? No,
no.
this is just you're gonna just forget about this team for a year.
I got to, man. Because if you get invested, Sam Darnold will see ghosts and he'll rip your heart out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how good Kevin O'Connell is. You're not going to be able to teach a bonehead to stop being a bonehead because if they could, there wouldn't be boneheads anymore.
Did you have any hope after the Kirk Cousins breakup? Like he
No,
was
because
gone,
I
and
knew
you were
they
like,
wouldn't have
"What?
a-
Somebody?"
They would
but
not
no.
have a high enough pick.
Mhm.
They've never been bad enough to get a franchise quarterback. They've just always been mediocre. So they got the 10th pick. What do we get with that? The fourth best quarterback in the draft? That's not what you and I know
Mhm.
O'Connell, I know KOC's the man and he's cool and he's tall McVay and all this stuff, but like JJ McCarthy's just a guy, man.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then he gets hurt. So it's like he's starting his career a year late after a major knee injury. That's not a thing. So we can already probably assume his ceiling is Alex Smith at best, and we know that's not good enough to win champs. So I'm out, man. I'm going over to the Bears where there's a legitimate franchise quarterback, and they're all in, and they're trying to go for it. Plus Hard Knocks, I'm in.
And you had the Hard Knocks boost as well.
Hard Knocks
That's true.
boost.
Yes.
HNB.
What about the tank the season for a good draft pick motivation? Can that be your drive for the season?
No, because they wouldn't draft a generational quarterback next year when they have JJ McCarthy. It's the same regime. It's the same. They're going to just run this back next year with JJ at the helm.
So this truly is
sell
a no
some
hope
tickets. Yeah, sell some tickets. Have
situation.
Justin Jefferson catch some touchdowns. I've just seen this. I saw this in like 2005. I saw this in like 2006. Like, let's go 7-10, maybe a 9-8, or maybe a 10-7, and sell some tickets. Have a guy catch a bunch of touchdowns, and kind of not be at the doorstep, be a bridesmaid but never the bride. That's them.
No, this is truly a no-win, no-fun season then. Because even
it's
tanking
a no-dub.
wouldn't help. I mean, I guess they could have a number one pick and try and trade it or something, but
right. But then
I'm not seeing a lot of hope.
No
matter
that's why I'm on the Bears.
Wow, it almost seems like you're excited to have no hope.
Yes,
this is like
I'm excited.
I can make the clean break.
Yeah,
and I'm on to the Bears in the division.
And I can realistically see them winning a Super Bowl within the next 2-3 seasons with a generational Mahomes-like guy who's not afraid to go make moves.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've definitely seen the 2-3 year turnaround. I mean, Detroit Lions last year. So, I mean, there is a reason to feel hopeful down the road, but it's going to take 24 to 36 months. Okay. Well, what is the most excited you've ever been about a Minnesota team? How far back do we have to go?
Not real. Maybe like 04.
04,
like when they had Chris Carter still, or Moss was like dominant, and Culpepper was still kind of making plays, kind of before his knee injury. Like in that window when they were really high flying, terrible defense, so they always had to score 40. That was probably it. Yeah, like the 2017 team, nobody was really that excited about. I mean, the Kirk Cousins team, I kind of felt like that wasn't going to be as good as people thought, and then they went out and just went like 8-7-1. So I don't really have a good answer for that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it seems like you. It's almost like you have PTSD.
Yeah, bro. I'm scarred.
But you have
up.
Tools to kind of make progress in your life. It's like, well, here's some things I can feel better about. Here's some things I can get excited about.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to think about this.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard this strategy from a fan, but it makes a lot of sense. And I might have used this strategy myself as a Raiders fan over the last 10 years, and I didn't even know I was doing it.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you just got to peel that Band-Aid off, and I'm doing it.
Okay, well, maybe that's a good fan strategy. All right, I got another question for you. Speaking of NFL storylines going into the season, what is something nobody's talking about? Because this offseason, we heard a lot of Bears talk with the Hard Knocks. We heard a lot of trades talk. We had Russell Wilson talk. But what is something that's caught your eye that no one's talking about?
I kind of feel like it's maybe like the AFC South is a lot better than people think. I think like everyone's already writing Houston is going to maybe go to the Super Bowl. I'm not even sure they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they probably will, But like Jacksonville was 8-3 last year before Trevor had 1,000 injuries, so I think they're going to be really tough. I think they improved too in another year with coach quarterback continuity, and then you got Tennessee. People are like, oh, that's a 4-win team. I don't know. Will Levis, they believe in him. They got a lot of talent. Tony Pollard can play. Calvin Ridley can play. They're always tough. They're Baltimore of the South. They're just like a really good culture ever since they got into the NFL. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl in their first year in that town. Mm-hmm. So they're a real team, and nobody's talking about the Colts. They got a big-time stud top pick quarterback that we haven't seen much from. He could pop. Will Levis could pop. CJ could have a little bit of a sophomore slump, and we could be talking about a best division in football thing. We had no idea it could be that, but it might be. I mean, it was real bad the last couple of years, but like the Colts were right there at the end of the year last year. They're always a tough team. They got a great coach. So I think it's just the toughness and grittiness and hard to decideness of the AFC South. I think people have kind of written in the Texans.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of talk about that either. I have heard some Texans talk, like you mentioned. I've heard a lot of Texas hype. I haven't heard a lot of Indianapolis or Will Levis talk. I mean, Will Levis had a good 2-week run last year. Remember when we were
he's
like,
okay. He's okay, but maybe
he was
takes
okay.
up.
Yeah.
He's like tough, which I think they like.
That's the fun part of the
he
NFL.
Believes, they could be good, man. Tony Pollard could break a bunch of touchdowns and they win games they probably shouldn't just because of that.
Mm-hmm. And the NFL season is so long that we have these little mini storylines throughout the year. The Will Levis, the Tommy Cutlets, Joe Flacco.
Tommy Cutlets can't see a path at this point. He's so far in the fryer.
Where are we with any of these guys now? They're completely off the map.
Yeah,
and last year, we made the question, we would ask, is this the guy?
Is this a franchise quarterback?
We're so gullible when it comes to like 2 weeks of good games.
Most quarterbacks are bad, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like
most of them are bad.
Name 5 good quarterbacks. And I'm like, okay, Mahomes, Lamar,
Burrow. Yeah.
Right. And then once we get to 4 and 5, it drops really quickly.
Yeah, there's just a few that are like
so
special.
hard. It's so hard. And like also quarterbacks, like along with coaches, like coach carousel moves so quickly in the NFL. Like no more.
You got to get buy-in. You got to have the players respect. And a lot of these guys can lose it real quick.
It seems that way. Like long gone are the days of the franchise coach where like, this is our guy. We're going to have good years.
There's only
we might
like
have some
3.
bad years, but this is our guy. Like I think Mike Tomlin might be the only guy I can think of.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
I can't believe he got run out of Philly, but I think it was just kind of time. But
Andy Reid.
He might be the best.
Is in there. Yeah, that's true. So, those are 2 good teams that I'm going to keep my eye on.
Yeah.
And the division alone could be our fun division for the year. Like, we always have that one fun division. Like, did you see what's going on there?
Everyone's competitive,
Yeah. How concerned are you for the Joe Burrow comeback? Like, that injury kind of worries me. It's almost like no one knows what can happen.
I think he's kind of seems a little injury prone. It's like every year there's something. So I don't necessarily think he's going to go unscathed. I think he may miss some time, but I don't think it'll be anything serious this year because it feels like he's due for a bounce back. So I don't really know. I don't speculation on that kind of thing. I can't, not until we see it.
Yeah, and we're so enamored with quarterbacks as being like the face of the franchise, the face of the team. Mm-hmm. It almost feels like as fans, I'm afraid to talk about it because I'll jinx him. Like I want him to be okay. I want him to be 100% and give the season a full run. But like I almost feel like nobody's talking about it because like it's a total wait and see. Don't jinx him with our words. And now like, a quarterback who has a good, say, 1 to 5 years earlier in the career and something derails it like injury or just their team tanks, I give that quarterback now the Mark Sanchez award. Because you forget, like Mark Sanchez was kind of fun and good for those first kind of 3 years with the Jets and they won a few playoff games.
He played good possession football.
And then he was gone. He was off the map. He was
they needed him to make some plays when they lost all their talent.
Yeah, and it wasn't the guy. And it was
they couldn't dink and dunk it anymore to the AFC chip.
So that the Mark Sanchez award is something I think we need to give out every 3 to 5 years.
That's a good thought.
Yeah, the Mark Sanchez Award. And it can be like a hot dog. Remember when he ate a hot dog on the sideline?
That's good. That's good.
Like a bust of like, the Hall of Famers have their face, but a bust of Mark Sanchez with a hot dog. And that's the Mark Sanchez Award. It's like, hey, I had a good 3 years. All right, Mark Sanchez Award. All right, this is a subject I want to get your take on because we have Aaron Rodgers take 2 year. And this is a player who I have heard you have emotional breakdowns over on your show many times. He seems to get to you, Sean. Yeah. This man seems to really rub you the wrong way. So 2 questions. Where are you on Aaron Rodgers, the player, and where are you on Aaron Rodgers, the person this year? Can they be separated? And what can we expect as a success? And what do you think would be a disappointment for Aaron Rodgers take 2?
I think success is going to be them either winning the division about 11-6, win the division, or be a top wild card and with moving in the right direction kind of thing where you're playing well, you feel good about the team, because it's a difficult AFC. So like you got to be realistic. They got a ton of talent. If he stays healthy, they should be there with the schedule that they have. If they can keep him upright, upgrades on the offensive line, I think 11-6, 12-5 range is realistic. It should be the expectation in the franchise, and then in the playoffs, anything happens, especially if you can play at home. And anything less than that is a failure. If anything other than winning, making the playoffs is going to be they're all out. Rodgers isn't healthy or good enough to do it. That's sad. Saleh wasn't able to, like, if Rodgers goes down again, he's gone. They're all gone just because it's like it's cursed kind of thing. Where I'm at on Aaron the player is like I want him to play well. I want the Jets to be primetime players. I want them to be good. I want them to go out to San Francisco and beat the Niners. I want them to be as good as we thought they'd be. They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. And
they are who we thought they are award. Yeah,
we let them off the hook. Yeah, it's the Denny Green rant.
That's why we took the damn field.
Yeah, it's the Denny Green rant award of the year.
Great coach meltdown.
I think for the man, it's just he's strange. I just find a lot of the things he says to be strange. He's passive aggressive with the media, and it's just really strange for a dude who should be confident and secure, and he doesn't seem to be. And just to even talk about Epstein on TV is so weird to me. Regardless of you're a quarterback, like just why? Why would that come up on a football talk show?
Yeah.
Why is that your brand? I just find it strange.
Well, yes, he definitely is kind of the modern day Tim Tebow, where everybody kind of has a thought and he's polarized.
Yeah, lightning rod.
Yeah, he's just a lightning rod. And I really kind of get annoyed when people in the media freak out over him because I think he's doing this on purpose, guys. We know he likes being the heel.
Yeah, he likes being a needler.
Yeah, he likes this. He's borderline arrogant with kind of statements like that. So the question I have with it is like, is he a good teammate? Is he a good leader? Or is he like someone who's just going to boss everybody around, kind of like the late Marino years where like he was like, why am I playing with these children? It seemed like, and can Aaron Rodgers win the locker room? This is year 2. He gave the Jets 3 years. So if this goes well, say he gets in the first round of the playoffs, like you said, okay, now we can build on something for next year. Say it's a mess. Say he misses the last 2 games with injuries or something. Year 3 is going to be a dumpster fire. It's going to be the all or nothing year.
Oh yeah, it's toast.
There's so much weight on this year. So how long into the season do you think he goes before he says something in the media that drives us all crazy? Can he make it to week 6?
No, I think
we're talking week 2.
I think it would be probably the first game. I'm sure he'll get a sideline interview with NBC. Yeah, it'll be like Melissa Stark or somebody, and they'll ask him something, and he'll have some coded conspiracy Malaysian flight number, score. Look at the scoreboard: Malaysian flight, murder hornets, atmospheric river, cloud seeding, something in the Mayan tombs. So I think it'll be week 1 at the sideline, potentially even before he takes a snap.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I hope it's aliens.
Yeah,
I hope it's aliens.
He's thinking about everything but football.
Yeah. Like I was hearing a podcast with someone who did an autobiography on him, and he's like, he's an interesting guy, but at some point during the interview, he definitely wants you to know he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just wonder how much of that makes it into the locker room. Do his teammates think he's weird?
Probably.
Or his teammates like, this is our guy, like I'm 100% in? Because I just listened to a mic'd up, like one of those scrimmages with him. And like, can I say mic'd up? Like, I always click it and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so good. They really don't say a lot mic'd up.
No.
It's a lot of like, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, it's mostly just kind of play stuff like that. Yeah.
There's a lot of like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Nothing
real.
Like,
yeah, nothing really happened, but he seems like the teammates are with him right now.
Sure,
so that's
right now.
My question is,
they
what's
believe
the
in him. They believe in him because you can lead through being awesome. And in practice, he's been awesome. So they see the throws he's made. They see him on tape. They're like, okay, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, too, like when I played middle school and high school football, before you have any games and you're practicing, like you always think you're awesome.
Right.
You played any games, and then you get the schedule, and you look at it, and you're like, oh, okay, we play these guys, we play these guys. Hey, guys, we might go undefeated. Like, you always think you're going to do well, and maybe that's what's going on right now with the Jets. And it's the biggest curiosity for me.
Excited to see.
How is Aaron Rodgers going to tackle this season? What's going to happen to him body-wise and off the field as well? I think it's going to be fun. Okay, this is what is driven me a little crazy, that I haven't heard any talk about this at all. How about the fact that the Chiefs have a chance to three-peat as far as 3 Super Bowls in a row? When's the last time this even was attempted? It's never happened in the NFL ever. Do you think the Chiefs can three-peat? I think it's a strong possibility, but why aren't we really talking about this? That seems like it would be the lead story.
Yeah. I think it's just Chiefs fatigue. Similar to when the Patriots had their late run in the last decade. That was it just is, people want to see their team, and when they see the same team over and over, it just brings negativity towards it. And so the Chiefs are using this as motivation, and I think they'll be right there in the end, probably playing for a trip to the Super Bowl, if not in it, if not winning it. I think they're, when you got Mahomes, it doesn't really matter who else is on the team. So they're going to be right there. And I think people realize that, they know that. So that's not necessarily the best story. I think the better story is who's going to dethrone them. So a lot of people are, and the Niners drama has really dominated the news cycle. All these holdouts and contracts and cheap owners, that's been really the talk, because preseason, they haven't really played anybody. We haven't seen a ton. There hasn't been a ton of juice, not that many moves of like, oh, wow, that, like the stuff with Ayuk and Tomlin and Cortland Sutton rumors, like that's just kind of been where the talk is. I think once the season gets started, week 1, if the Chiefs come out against the Ravens and put up 35 and Mahomes looks like a freak, I think people are going to start going, oh, yeah, this three-peat's about to probably happen again, isn't it? And then once it happens, then it'll be the biggest story in the history of the game.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we need to get this.
So it's just crescendoing.
Yeah, maybe the oven is just on preheat right now when it comes to Chiefs
we're not
talk.
up to 400. We're not up to 400 for the tater tot hot dish.
Come week 4, week 5, we're like, oh wow, we might be watching NFL history.
Yeah, good
right
call.
Now with the three-peat. But yeah, it's funny how like this has not been talked about at all. Who's still on their team? Who left? What's going on? But it's Russell Wilson talk. It's Aaron Rodgers talk. It's everything but the Chiefs, and I think that plays to their favor. They got a little less pressure, a little less eyeballs on them. But once the season starts, maybe our focus will shift. So you think they can do it?
Yeah. Yeah, they've just got the best coach, best quarterback.
Yeah,
so it's just they'll come up with stuff. They'll get the ball to some playmakers. Pacheco run the ball, great offensive line, tough defense. They will probably be in the AFC Championship with a lead at some point.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to be, unless they have a massive injury to the left tackle, like both tackles, or Mahomes gets an ankle injury that he plays through, and they somehow like get wild card and have to like go to Baltimore the first round, maybe, but still they elevate in the playoffs. So I just don't see, outside of a Mahomes head injury or crazy fluke, like something happens to their whole offensive line, because even if a running back or receiver or God forbid Travis goes down, they're still fine there.
Yeah.
because they got the best guy drawing shit up, and they got the best quarterback throwing crazy lasers. So it's like, and he's smart. That's the thing, is like they know when to play smart and they know when to go behind the back. That's tough to beat. You're confident. You're willing to try stuff. It's really hard to beat those teams. You know what I mean?
Like all the strategy, all the like brain power is there. You know, when it comes to coaching, getting that coaching onto the field, that connection is there. And we did have a little potential for the Chiefs drama in the offseason with that arrest of so there was a little potential, but it kind of like waved over. We're not talking about it anymore. But no matter what drama happens with the Chiefs, because we had so much last year with Taylor Swift talk and things like that, but it's never about Mahomes. Like, their quarterback is solid. Whereas you flip it, you go to the Jets, the drama is the quarterback. Like, what's he going to say? What did he say on this thing? What's up with Jimmy Kimmel? Like, you can have all the drama you want. If the quarterback is solid, I think you can take on quite a bit. And the Chiefs seem to have that recipe dialed. And now we got a three-peat potential.
Let's see, baby.
Wow. All right. Well, let's talk week 1 for your team, which you have broken up with. What's your relationship with Minnesota like as a relationship? Would you say you guys are broke up, a trial separation?
Broke up.
Sleeping in different beds but the same house?
Broke up. No, broke up. I'm on to my new Bears.
So, but you're going to get back together with the Vikings at some point, right?
No, I'm out.
Really?
Bears. Yeah, this is a great, bright future.
You're never going
We got
back
a condo in Chicago, bro.
Wow.
Lakeside view. I'm gone, man. I left the tater tots behind.
So the Vikings are your first wife. You broke up.
Yep.
And now the Bears have become your second wife.
Yes, sir. You got it.
Okay, got it. And you bought a condo together.
Lakeside.
You're going lakeside. You're taking hikes on the weekend.
Yes, sir.
You're going to brunch on Saturdays. It's all perfect relationship right now.
Right.
Okay, so should I even bother with the Vikings home opener?
I'll give you my pick. It's
okay. Vikings go to New York for their home opener.
The Giants are going to win the game because the Giants' defensive line is elite. And this is what I see. A team that doesn't have a ton of hope like the Giants, they are going to look at this game as, oh, this is one we can definitely win. And it's home opener. They never get home openers against winnable teams. Usually they got to play Dallas or Philly, somebody good. And Sam Darnold, going back to where he sees ghosts, he is going to get eaten alive and make mistakes. I see it as like a 17-16 game where the Giants have Brian Daboll, who will just play possession football, make the Vikings make mistakes because they got Darnold. He's got experience, but he plays like he's inexperienced. And Daniel Jones owns the Vikings. He got his contract off of the Vikings. In 2 games against the Vikings in 2022, he torched them. He got him $40 million a year because he torched our ass. And those were his only good games of the season. Once in the regular season and once in the playoffs, he went off. And he'll probably do it again week 1. I'm thinking like 18-17, weird football game.
Weird score.
Missed extra points.
Throwing
and just
a safety
sloppy,
in there.
Crap quarterbacks just playing up to their standard.
Oh, interesting pick.
But I'm taking the Giants.
You're taking the Giants on there. Now, are you going to spy on your ex of a wife, Minnesota Vikings, throughout the year? You know, check their Instagram.
No.
Maybe view a story. No, you're going to delete them.
I'm gonna, if they're on Red Zone, I won't change the channel because it's Red Zone. But I'm not seeking out their content. It's not going to be a good watch.
Okay, so you're not even going to check your ex's social media stuff type of thing.
No, sir. Nope. No creeping on the Vikes.
Gotcha. So someone comes up to you and say, "Hey, I saw your ex Minnesota Vikings." You'd be like,
"It's not real." Yeah, have fun with that. Good luck with that. Yeah,
great. I'm gonna go watch. my Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to see Caleb right now.
Me and the Bears have dinner reservations at Mastro's tonight.
Yeah, reservations for 6.
All right. Well, okay, Bears. Let's talk Bears for a second.
Yeah, they got a tough matchup.
They have the Tennessee Titans. Is that at home? Early game.
It's in Chicago.
Yes. So where are you on your new wife, Chicago Bears, playing Tennessee?
I am going to pick the Bears to win the game, but here's the deal. Not enough people are taking the Titans seriously. So I think this will be a coaching this will be a situation where Matt Eberflus is going to have to really push the buttons by making sure they do not take this Tennessee team lightly, because all they want to do is come to the party. Everyone's 0-0 right now, so they could get on a winning streak. That's like, it's coaching 101. And so Eberflus needs to. Cowboys. The Bears are 4-point favorites, so people think the Bears are going to win. You come in with a little bit of air. It's the home opener. You got the number 1 overall pick, who's baby Mahomes. But you got to coach them up to go, look, these guys are going to hit you, and they're going to hit you harder than you've ever been hit before. It's Baltimore, the South. They play tough. New coach who's trying to win games. This is their chance to go, we're not bad. Everyone's the same. We can get on a winning streak and keep winning. This is coaching. So it's up to Eberflus to make sure they win that game by not letting him, for any reason at all, take those Tennessee Titans lightly, because they're coming to win.
Well, in the Chicago Bears as the new wife analogy, is Eberflus like your father-in-law? What would you give him?
Yeah, I'd say he's doing good from everything I've seen on Hard Knocks. He's feeling more uncle-y a bit.
You like him? He's a good father-in-law.
He's okay. Yeah, he's a little set in his ways with some of the things he said. He sounds a little old and crotchety at times when he's really not that old. He's not really that old. But that's the football, good old boy, chewing gum cadet type mentality. But I like what I've seen. I like the meetings that he takes with the quarterback. So yeah, I'll give him uncle for sure.
Uncle status. Okay.
Yeah,
so
like guys, cool uncle, salt and pepper uncle.
Cool uncle. Yeah, if you sat at the same end of the dinner table at Thanksgiving, you'd be okay. Like you would.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd be able to hang, but I'm not gonna go see what yard signs he puts up.
Okay, so you're still. It sounds like you are still a little cautious.
A little reserved.
Your relationship still.
Yep.
You're still feeling out all the family members. Okay.
I want to see the coaching translate to the game now that they have a really good quarterback and a lot of playmakers. So it's about just kind of like make sure that defense is still good, and don't take these teams lightly on the schedule. It's the NFL.
Yes, it is. And week 1, we are going to have so many things to overreact to come week 1.
Can't wait.
We need it, because this is a critical fall. Like there's too much going on. There's election year.
Too many good players. Yep.
Election year. People are mad all the time. Like we need football to wash over us.
Good call.
And have something to cheer for. And if your new wife, the Chicago Bears, start out really great, I think that's just a good thing for the country.
I'm excited, baby. We need Chicago to be good.
Bears, Cowboys, Niners, like whatever marquee team. Packers. If the marquee teams are good, it's good for America.
Yes, sir. Good call.
Sean Leary, the host of No Credentials podcast. He's at Sean Leary Bits. Good luck in week 1, Sean.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
That's the show. That is the NFL preview, the Hopes and Dreams edition. 3 people, 3 conversations, and many hopes and dreams. How you doing? Are you ready for the season? Well, hopefully not quite yet, because I got one more show coming at you this week before the season starts, the official Sunday Night Talk preview show. We're going to discuss. And if you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's right here. All my sports stuff is up there. Not to mention all my comedy stuff is up there. Stand-up comedy clips. And I did a bunch of YouTube shorts over the summer. So go check those out as well. It's all there. Give the channel a little wind in the sails, will you? It helps out. Don't forget, another show coming this week. The season starts this Thursday. See you there.